Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely mind-bending conceptual universe. We're looking at a 2015 text by a guy named Shu Feng, and it's simply titled, How to Meet Your Other Half. Now, if you're thinking this is just some standard romance or dating advice, yeah, think again. This text is wild. It literally blends quantum physics, ancient cosmology, and, get this, computer programming metaphors to explain human existence itself. We're going to unpack this whole cosmic matrix step by step so we can really grasp the sheer scale of these ideas. So let's just dive right in. Okay, so here's a massive question for you. What if the key to ultimate freedom was your own annihilation? I know, it's a super heavy concept, right? But this explainer is going to walk you through a highly specific philosophical worldview that argues exactly that. It says that your ultimate completeness, your true final realization, actually requires the total, literal destruction of your current self. Let's move to the first section and see exactly who or what is involved in this destruction. So, Section 1, Defining Your Other Half. To wrap our heads around this cosmic simulation, Shifeng says we first have to figure out what this elusive other half actually is. And what's really cool is how he bridges science and spirituality here. Drawing straight from the phenomenon of quantum entanglement, the text suggests that just like physical particles have antiparticles, you, as a human being, have an anti-self. And to be clear, this isn't just a soulmate. It's another being out there that shares your exact nature and your exact feelings, but remains completely separated from you. You're resonating with them, but you are kept totally apart. He actually frames this profound connection as a, and I quote, ghost-like super distant effect, which is a direct nod to quantum mechanics, right? Where entangled particles affect each other instantly, no matter how far apart they are. The crucial point here is that you and this anti-self form a single, unified, entangled opposition across the universe. You are literally two halves of one whole, permanently linked by this invisible cosmic thread. But why exactly are you kept apart? Well, that brings us to Section 2, the Law of Symmetric Balance. The text actually gives us a structural reason for the separation. It states, when one self and the other half meet and both step off the balance scale. Think of a giant cosmic seesaw. The framework insists that you are standing on one side of the scale and your anti-self is on the exact opposite side. If just one of you gets lost, the balance is completely wrecked. But if you both step off together at the exact same moment, you don't disrupt the fairness of the universe. Instead, you can both enter the kingdom of freedom, which the text calls the Elysium world. And this reveals the underlying architecture of the cosmos. Shifeng calls this symmetric balance, and it's an essential cosmic law, specifically one of the 36 8-diagram arrays. Basically, it demands that things have to develop in opposite directions to keep everything from collapsing into absolute destruction. Without this opposition, without you and your anti-self keeping that scale perfectly even, the symmetric balance of life totally fails. Moving right along to Section 3, the Universe's Prevention Program. Okay, so if balance is that crucial, what happens if you accidentally bump into your other half on the street? Well, the text says if particles and antiparticles meet, they annihilate. It's a basic rule of physics, but applied here to your actual soul. You see, the universe essentially functions as a wildly complex computer program, and this program resolutely prevents your meeting because that resulting annihilation wouldn't just destroy the two of you, it would literally destroy the entire world. If it were easy for halves to meet, reality as we know it would just pop right out of existence. So, to enforce the separation and protect reality, this cosmic program uses a massive, practically infinite firewall. We are talking 20 parallel worlds, 36-dimensional spaces, a strict division into the yin-yang world, and even the Buddhist realms of desire, form, and formless. The text says all the positive and negative aspects of life are separated into these realms, maintaining eternal reincarnation through the mutual generation and overcoming of the 5 elements. This absolute unit of a celestial net is what keeps our world functioning as this dreamlike, fantastical existence. And because these firewall barriers are basically infinite and specifically designed to keep you apart, the text issues a pretty stark warning. Trying to find your other half naturally is practically a delusion. The system is just too perfect. The maze is way too vast. Which brings us to Section 4, the purpose of annihilation. This all builds into the ultimate paradox, doesn't it? Why on earth would you even want to seek out a meeting that's heavily guarded against and ends in your literal destruction? Well, the philosophy lays out a stark choice. On one hand, you have eternal reincarnation. Without eliminating your counterpart, you are forever constrained by them, totally unable to escape the cycle of floating and sinking within the three realms. On the other hand, you have annihilation. The text argues that to actually escape the matrix, you have to eliminate your counterpart, which inherently means destroying yourself.
But here's the twist. It boldly claims that this mutual death isn't actually an end, it's a requirement. By annihilating the opposing sides, a new life can achieve nirvana. You're reborn as a higher, totally self-harmonious and complete life, one that finally meets the super strict standards of the Elysium world. So the death of the fragmented self is literally the birth of the complete self.
All right, Section 5, Hacking the Cosmic Code.
So the goal is mutual annihilation for ultimate rebirth. But if the universe strictly forbids this meeting, how do we possibly get around that massive firewall? Well, Shufeng explicitly uses computer terminology here, which is just fascinating for a spiritual text. He says that, just like any computer program written by a developer, the universe's code has a backdoor. It contains a subprogram that a skilled hacker can exploit to bypass all the normal rules. But of course, there's a catch. The trick is that actively searching for your counterpart is the exact thing that triggers the universe's defense mechanisms. Since the program is literally built to keep you apart, the harder you look, the further away the system pushes them. It's basically a cosmic Chinese finger trap. So what is the actual hack? The ultimate shortcut the author gives us is something called the eightfold liberation state. By activating this highly specific state of being, this cosmic subprogram, you stop triggering the alarms. Instead of you running around 36 dimensions looking for your anti-self, the state acts like a beacon. It causes your other half to actively seek you out for that final unifying annihilation.
And what's the reward for pulling off this ultimate hack? It's the destination itself. By reaching the eightfold liberation state, merging with your anti-self, and undergoing annihilation, you bypass the whole eternal cycle. You supposedly transcend the three realms completely, step right outside the five elements, and arrive straight at the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. You achieve ultimate completeness.
So, as we wrap up this explainer on Shufeng's seriously mind-bending cosmic matrix, the philosophy leaves us with this haunting, deeply personal question. We've seen the mechanics of the cosmic scale, the celestial firewall, and this ultimate hacker's shortcut. But the core premise still remains. To become whole, the you that exists right now must end. So ask yourself, if finding your ultimate completeness meant losing your current self entirely, would you still look for your other half? Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this absolutely fascinating source material. Stay curious, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.